Yo, man. What's up, man? Welcome back to another episode, man, of the Legacy Talk podcast, man. We got a real special episode this time. We got a couple guests. Some you may have heard of on podcasts, some that's new to the movement, but we're gonna get into a lot of good stuff this episode, man. So further not, man, let me get into it. First guest I'm gonna go ahead and introduce, man, is my business partner / mentor, my guy, Ace, the Impactful Ace.
Impactful Ace here.
And talk to him.
We represent today down in Tennessee. We came to see a very special guest.
Yes,
I've known this guy for several years. He's made some significant impacts on my life personally in terms of my interests and just sharing different perspectives over the years. I've come to know this guy not only as one of the best salesmen that I know, but as a person, he's one of the most progressive people that I know. He makes selling appear so natural and effortless. This guy can truly sell water to a well. So with that, without further ado, I want to introduce you guys to my guy, K-Live, also known as Keith Thomas.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me on the show, y'all. I appreciate y'all a lot.
For having us, man. You hosting us out here while we, here on
hospitality.
business, man. Yeah, man. So we've been having a great time so far, bro, but guess we can get right into it, man. Yeah. So I guess kind of just give people a little bit of introduction about yourself, kind of what you do, who you are, and what's going on with you.
All right. Well, first off, like I said, my name is Keith Thomas. Before anything else, I'm a family man, right? Without my wife, my children, there is no Keith, there's no K-Live. For me, I'm an athlete, but since I couldn't make that a professional career, the closest thing to that would be being a salesperson. Because again, I think the correlation between performing in any sports you play is represented by your pay. And in sales, your pay is directly impacted by your results. So being in sales for the majority of my life, started off in retail, and the majority of my professional career been in telecoms. And I've managed multiple field sales teams, including being a salesperson in the field myself, door-to-door, both residential and corporate, and now doing MDUs, multiple dwelling units in large HOA communities.
Okay.
So sales is who I am.
Yeah, man, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Well, I guess, man, since you started like that, bro, the only other question next is, like, how did you get into sales? Like, what's that like? Like, what got you into it? What was the first spark?
So, and this is a really short story. Essentially, I worked at Burger King, and when I was like 17.
Wow.
Yeah, right. And
was that your first job?
That was my first job.
Okay.
My first job. And, I looked at them, okay, I make $8.75 an hour. I did the math, and my check was short like $90. And my mom's was like, you never heard of taxes?
All right.
And I'm like, so I calculated the time for my hours, and I'm like, this ain't worth my time. Yeah. At 17, like, I'm better, this is not my worth. And when I quit, my manager was like, listen, you sold more like large combos than anybody else. And he said, I know you're leaving this, but you're one of the best salespeople I've ever seen. And I knew you wouldn't last long. It's just a question of how long you would stay. But listen, you sell naturally. So go into that. So when I left Burger King, I went to go work at Best Buy in retail. And that was so easy for me because they're walking in the door wanting something.
Right.
And when you deal with something like that, it introduces you to multiple personalities, dealing with families, individuals, if they need a laptop or a desktop, customizing. But that was very easy to do. And then I went from Best Buy, which was strictly hourly, to another retailer, CompUSA, where that was my first commission job. And I went from making $30,000 a year at Best Buy to making $60,000 at 20 years old. And I'm like, whoa, this is commission sales. And my hourly at CompUSA was $3.
Wow. What?
Right? And the majority of my money was all commission.
So it was sink or swim.
And after that, I said I will never take an hourly job again. I will never punch a clock again. If this is the impact I can make to my family at 20, sales is all I want to do.
Right.
And I progressively went further in my career. That's how it started.
Wow. Excellent.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. There's a couple places I want to go with that, though. I want to take it back to Burger King. So where did you have that mindset of as soon as you saw your check, like where did that come from for you to know like you were worth more than what you saw on that paper? Like a lot of people don't have that off rip. Like where did that come from?
Essentially, I did the math. When I got there, I'm 17. I need to make at least $500 every 2 weeks. I could stack that and buy a car.
Okay.
And when I was seeing that I couldn't get the hours I wanted, I'm begging for OT, And when I got my check, and it was like, I did the math. It should have been like $460.
Okay.
And it was $370. So I'm like, it's going to take me an extra 6 months to get what I want doing this. And then a part of me too, let's just be completely honest, it ain't too swaggy to be sitting there giving fries through a drive-thru. You know what I'm saying?
So you ain't get a whole lot of
exactly,
looks like that, huh?
right? So, and there's other barriers I had to work through as a young man. So a lot of my friends were working in the mall, which was what at the time a much more prestigious job. Okay. You know, you work at Foot Locker and Champs, and I'm at McDonald's. So there was also a pride thing too, where I'm like, not only am I being transparent, ashamed to be at Best Buy, I'm not even making the money I anticipated. So it wasn't for me. It's time to go.
Wow. That's crazy. That's big though. I think that's big, especially because we've talked a lot off camera since we've been here a couple of days, man. And I can see like how that all comes together in the grand scheme of things as far as your mindset. So that's huge.
Absolutely. I mean, let me ask you this about sales, Keith. So a lot of times there's this natural mystery about sales where people think that sometimes it's in your DNA. Mm-hmm. Either you have it or you don't. Is sales something that you think can be taught? Is it something that people can learn, or is it something you either have it or you don't?
You can 100% learn to be a salesperson. Okay. Now, there are some more people who are naturally in tune to selling, right? But this is a skill. If you know it or not, in life, you're selling every single day. You're selling your mother when you're trying to get, you know, an extra paying your allowance, boosting your allowance. You're selling your dad if you're trying to get the car. And that's when you're just a kid. Now you're in high school. You might be trying to sell your teacher on giving you a B when you really deserve a C.
So you're always selling yourself.
You're always selling yourself. And the people who learn that extra communication piece, they will naturally grow with that when they see, let's just say, CJ, you're my teacher. Mm-hmm. And I know I just held the door for you every single day. And I know based on, you know, our one-on-ones and, you know, our parent-teacher conference, I should have got a C.
Right.
But you gave me a B. And I literally hear your mother say, your son is the nicest student I have. I know you gave me that extra bump because we had a personal relationship in regards to me just respecting you as my teacher.
Absolutely.
And then that actually happened to me.
Okay.
So I realized if I just communicate and I talk to my teachers like people, and when they walk in, I'm like, oh my God, the teacher just walked in. Okay. Right? They respect you more. Mm-hmm. And as I learned that, I just ran with it. But here's the kicker. I started teaching my other friends, like, hey, bro, just be cool with the teacher. Like, everybody else is cracking jokes. You're trying to keep up with the Joneses.
Right.
You getting F's and D's, bro. Like, exactly. But it's like, take a different path. So if you teach people there's another way to do life, that equates to sales. Okay. And as we go deeper, I'm not sure what other questions you got, but that's like an hour answer I can give you. Mm. But to answer your question shortly, 100% you can teach salespeople. I've had salespeople before I joined their team and I took over the squad, they're ready to quit.
Okay.
Now they're making 6 figures.
Wow. Mm. Wow. And now is that helping them improve their communication skills? What is that? What would you attribute to what it takes to be the best salesman or saleswoman?
Confidence. The best salesman or woman is the confidence that you possess. Mm. Most people in leadership roles talk at their sellers, their employees, versus talking to their employees. If you're not hitting the numbers, it's your fault. Mm. That's not true. That's what most people learn from their bosses. Right. CJ, you didn't hit the quota. You're not doing your job. I can't guarantee your future here with this company. A real leader goes, CJ, you didn't hit your numbers. What could I have done more to help you with that?
Mm. So this is a sense of ownership.
Right. Ownership. You run the team. You run a department. You run the company. If the company's not performing, at a certain point when you have enough churn, it's not the employees, it's you. Mm. So the biggest thing that I bring to a team that is the most important thing for any leader is the accountability that I work for them. They do not work for me.
Okay.
That's the biggest thing,
mindset.
man.
That's a great mindset.
It's the only mindset to have when it comes to being a leader part of a team.
So, man, again, like the conversations we've had throughout this trip, man, have been kind of like dope. I mean, not kind of like, they've been dope. And again, they've all been centered around your mindset and how to reset that, how to put yourself in the right mindset. But for you, again, like, what fostered that? Like, who was able to instill that in you, or was that something that you had to learn throughout your years, or mentors? Like, where did that come from? Because I've been seeing that pattern. That's like something that you really are strong about is your mindset. So like where'd that come from?
It started with my auntie when I was young, and she said, Keith, you have an advantage over most kids. I said, well, what is that? She said, you listen. Most kids don't listen. But to give you the real answer in a professional environment is I listened to people who were progressing quicker than me in the company that I was at.
Okay.
You know, there's a retail store in Michigan, and I was there for 6 months. Another young man came in. He was there for 3 months, got promoted to supervisor. And I asked him, I'm like, how did you do that? Because most people were just dissing him. Like, oh, he's cool with the store manager, or he's cool with this assistant manager. Mm-hmm. So I asked him, I said, what do you do? He said, I come in every single day they ask me to. He was like, they would send an email to everybody on the store and say, hey, we're looking for people to fill in on Saturday, including myself. I'm not going to come in an extra day.
Yeah.
I want to go out.
Right.
Right? And in turn, I went out. This guy didn't go out, and now he's my boss. And that was something where I realized that if you do what no one else does, especially behind closed doors when nobody sees it,
right,
you'll get what they don't get. This man was there for 90 days and got promoted. I'm there for 6 months. And the only thing he did was come in an extra day. Now he's making extra $20,000 a year.
Simple math.
Yeah. So the mindset is look at the opportunity you have, not the obligation. I learned that early. That's really important. I'm going to say it to y'all again. Look for the opportunity, not the obligation. Jay, if you tell me I need you to sell 15 laptops in the next week, and say that's an incredible thing to do. Most people, most salespeople without good leaders, they go, oh my God, why is Jay doing this to me? I go, here's a chance for me to show Jay what I can do. And now I'm thinking of ways to sell the 20 versus going, oh, why is he picking on me?
Right.
It's a mindset. Look at the opportunity, not the obligation. And that is something I did get over time and seeing other great people come and go.
Okay.
And why because there's great salespeople who don't last long. And there's some great salespeople who have very longevity. And all of them look at the opportunity. They look for the way to get it done, not the excuse to say why I didn't do it.
To jump off.
Correct.
Okay.
Is there a place where salespeople typically start? Is it something that they have to start early in their career or their life, or is it something that can be fostered by anybody, regardless of age, experience, background?
So that's a very deep question. The better communicator you are, the better you are at sales. And there is no timeline to growth in regards to your communication. You can be super lame and be a lame, person up to you 40, and all of a sudden something happens and now you're a superstar.
Light bulb.
Like it just goes off. It could be a conversation with a woman. It could be a conversation with your best friend, your brother. It could be a lot of things. But the more you talk to people, the better you will progress. That's the only way I could put that is. So there's no starting point where this is, oh my God, you can be a great salesperson. It's just talking to people. And listening, being an active listener is so important. And then we're not even into the deep sales stuff yet. This is just being a good person in life.
Right.
If your friend calls you, this is you selling yourself to your friend. You don't even realize your friend calls you. He may have a bad day. Do you immediately start talking about what's going on with you? Are you listening to your friend to actually get feedback, or are you listening just to talk? So to answer your question, there is no starting point. It's whatever pops for you in your life where you go, my communication is on point with my mother now. I didn't have this level of communication before. With my best friend, your freaking son, your daughter. It's just constantly communicating and finding what works for you, and you know it's working when the relationship gets better.
Totally.
So that eliminates my next question, because my next question was, how did you learn to sell? You learn how to be a good person. You learn to be a good communicator.
100%.
You learn to treat people like people. And that's something that you've shown us while we've been here. So
yeah, man.
That's
I want to even go deeper on that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Here's the deal. If you're a good person, people will buy from you. If you're a good person and a good communicator, you will dominate sales. The difference between a salesperson that communicates next level and one who does not, when you walk out of that house, or the business deal, or your meeting where you just sold your business proposal to your boss, whatever the case may be, when they walk out, do they feel good about that conversation? If a person doesn't feel good about the conversation, you did not do your job. If you walk out, you feel like you were sold, that's not okay. Everybody should feel good about what just happened, and that way your deal sticks and you're not getting an email or a call a week later saying, CJ, we need to pull out of this.
Right, okay.
Seriously.
So how many years have you been in sales?
Golly, I'm not sure to tell my age here. But so I started selling probably when I was 9.
9? Okay.
Yeah, so I was actually
So what, maybe 30 years,
bro,
20
just-
years?
all I'm gonna say is I've been selling hardcore for about, I would honestly say about 22 years.
22 years?
Yeah.
Okay. So in 22 years, where do you find your motivation? A lot of people could get burned out in many professions, many type of roles. How do you reinvigorate yourself to where you constantly stay motivated? And to second that, as a leader, how do you motivate your team so that they stay motivated day after day after day?
Great question.
First, as an individual contributor, right? That means you sell, you don't have any direct reports, meaning you have no employees under you.
Okay.
You're motivated by dollars.
Okay.
If you're not motivated by money, you're in the wrong role. Period. Because any great salesperson, you're motivated by this single drive. You want to make as much money as possible with the least amount of effort. Any good salesperson will tell you that's the goal, right? And you're motivated by your checks coming in. You're motivated by getting a bigger commission. You're motivated by even telling people, well, for me anyway, like Jay, when I met you, and I'm like, bro, I work 2 hours a day and I make almost 200 grand. And to see your face, what the heck you do, right? So it's to get that money. Now, as a leader, this is where it's hard, because when you go from being an individual contributor to being part of a team, now my money is now tied to the performance of the people under me, right? And if you only care about money as a leader, you will fail, because you're only looking at your sellers and your employees as dollar signs and not people.
Got you.
So my motivation as a leader was getting my people promoted to the same level I was at.
Okay.
It's knowing that, hey, you just came in here and you're making 6 figures, but I want to turn this from a job to a career. I want to change your life where when you come to work, you're not worried about, are you going to get axed? Because as a supervisor and as a leader, you have certain buffers where a company a lot of times has to pay you to leave. Like they can't just let you go, right? They're paying you out your remaining commissions for the whole year. They're paying you that bonus you would have got. But to answer it again very shortly and quickly, it's to help people change their lives. As a leader, if you're not trying to change your employees and teams' lives, you shouldn't be a leader. So my motivation is changing people's lives.
Gotcha. That's awesome.
That's
awesome.
super awesome.
You're proving that you're doing it. So, speaking about commission, a lot of sales jobs are always commission-based, or a good percentage of your compensation is based on commission. Do you think that's the best way to do that? Is that something that should change, or is that part of the motivation like you spoke of, where you're highly incentivized to convert when you're selling?
That's a good and difficult question.
Okay.
And the reason it's difficult is the pay scale, the balance between salary and commission really depends on what you're selling.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right? Now, one thing, I do not believe in working a strictly commission-based job.
Okay.
And the reason is, if the company doesn't believe in you enough to sell their product, they're garbage, right? You're working for nothing. You work 2 days straight, you ain't getting nothing, right? So, excuse me. But the balance between commission and sales, and I'm going to give you 2 examples of 2 different companies and the way they do their commission structure, and one drastically outperforms the other one. Both stock, NAS, whatever, just their shares are higher, everything. The lower company has a much higher salary, right? Salary is $80,000. And the most you'll ever get in commission is $40,000. So you're capped at 120.
20, okay.
Right? But as a seller, you might be cool with just 80 grand. If you just do the bare minimum, you might make 90. So they're fine with that, right? But the company has a higher profit share margin, their stock is higher, your salary was $24,000. But your commission is uncapped.
Okay.
So now you have sellers making more than directors. Sellers are making $300,000 a year. And now you got a 24K base, which doesn't seem like much, but that gives you insurance. They give you gas, mileage, plus you get your little small check every 2 weeks. But at the end of the month, you're getting a $30,000 check. So in my opinion, to answer your question directly, I believe in incentivizing performance, where I will give you a decent salary, but I'm going to give you an insane commission over giving you a high salary and a low commission. I reward performance.
Outstanding.
Man, Again, man, I just want to touch back to how you prioritize your team. How you really hold yourself to a standard of helping them excel in their position and in their role, and to change their lives. What are some of the ways that you found are most helpful and most useful in that? Like, what does that look like for you as far as helping them get where they need to be?
Leading by example, right? I do things that companies would frown upon. Like, I will actually show you my quarterly bonuses.
Wow.
Because I want the people under me to know this is what you're working towards, right? But more importantly, and this, for a matter of fact, this is the number one most important thing to growing a team, a successful team, is showing them you are there for them and giving them, I call it, don't let any company donkey and carrot you. You know the image, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Right, keep it in
this,
front.
this is a donkey and carrot. Ask me, how do I get promoted? Just ask me, Jay.
How do you get promoted?
Man, keep working hard. Put in the work. Talk to me every week. I'll make sure you get promoted. Just keep working hard. Keep doing what you're doing. What did I really just tell you? Nothing. Nothing.
No actionable
It's
steps.
not practical.
No actionable items. First, and I even tell people, Keith, can I get promoted? You're not ready to have the conversation with me yet. Complete transparency. You're not ready. But when you are ready and you ask me, Jay, hey, Jay, ask me how do you get promoted?
How do you get promoted?
Jay, I was waiting for you to have this conversation with me. What do you bring to the table? You tell me whatever you say, I'm going to write it all down. Then I'm going to tell you what I agree with, what I disagree with. But then I'm going to give you a list. It could be 1 to 5, 1 to 10, and I will give you a timeline. Jay, you complete these 9 things. You will be a supervisor in the next 12 months. It could be 6 months, could be 13 months. So guess what? I just empowered you. I gave you a list.
With a plan.
Correct. And once you check the list off, you do everything on this list. You look at me, Keith, deliver. Now you're putting me on the time to make it happen. And more importantly, I email the employee and I email my boss with the plan, letting them know this is the number one candidate for the next slot if all categories are met. And my boss knows I do this, and they email me back confirmed. Wow. So you have a guaranteed plan. This is the first time a person walks out of a meeting and they're like, I'm going to get this.
Okay.
You got a finish line. You got a goal. I don't care if you're a teacher, cop. When you have goals to hit, it's more realistic, and you know if it's achievable, especially when we came with those goals together.
Right.
Makes sense.
It's easy to visualize when you give me a plan. I can't visualize when you tell me to work hard. Okay.
Correct.
I'm going to go ahead and work hard, but what am I working hard for? You know what I'm saying? It's no promise to an end. So that's dope, man. That's super dope. And even I could tell this guy was a great leader and manager, man, when we were on the way from the airport the day we got here, and you were talking to somebody on the phone, one of your associates on the phone, and just the way that you talked to them was like, I would have thought it was your cousin or something, man. Like seriously, it was a conversation where it was so flowing, and it wasn't like order. You weren't saying nothing too crazy. It was like, hey, do this, do that, and it was some things where you corrected them for some action, for some steps that they slipped out or missed out on before. And the way that they received them because of the way that you told them, it was like, wow, this guy is good.
Man, we're here as leaders in any role. You are here to guide. You're not here to yell at. You're not there to stress out your people. Give guidance. Everybody makes a mistake. I ain't perfect. The VPs ain't perfect. The CFO isn't perfect.
Nobody is.
Give guidance. Don't make someone feel less than for coming to you. To everybody out there, if you look at your phone and your boss calls you, you see it's your boss, if you go, ugh, that's a problem. You need to have a conversation. When your leader calls you, you should know they're calling to help you. It's a good thing. If you don't feel that way, have a conversation with them. If they're open-minded, as a good leader should be, they will fix and address your needs. But they can't fix if they don't know about it.
Great point. Great point.
Let me ask you this, Keith. So, in terms of selling, I know you've done door-to-door. Have you done telephone sales?
Yes.
You've done telephone sales. What other methods of sales are there?
So, if you go by methods, I started in retail.
Okay, retail.
Right? Then I went to actual hospitality. I did valet for a little bit.
Okay.
And the reason that was sales, you have to sell the actual valet passes where they would pay monthly for unlimited valet versus paying as they come.
Okay.
So I sold that. Then I went to corporate sales. Then I went to door-to-door. Then I also did phone sales. Then I did business. and now I'm doing what's called large community HOA sales.
Okay.
Bulk.
Okay. Reason why I asked you that is I wanted to find out, as technology advances, obviously you've seen it change, right? How we go about selling. Do you find that advances in technology make it easier to sell or harder?
Easier.
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 How so?
Here's the deal. You have more data and more tools at your disposal than ever before. When you cold called in the past, you literally called blind.
Okay.
Now, more than likely, you have their first name, last name, who their current provider is, and how much they paying. So you're armed with a lot more information.
Okay.
And that information can help you guide the customer because you know what you're walking into.
Right. Whereas before you were blind.
You're blind.
Okay.
Right? And people call it cold calling. It's really not now. You have so much data at your fingertips, even when you're doing door to door, right? You know, out of these 10,000 houses, how many have your competitor? You know how much they're paying on average. You know how long it's been since they left your company. So you have all the information already at your fingertips. So that makes it way easier today. Okay. Way easier.
So we living in a land of opportunity for sales.
Yes, brother.
Man. What is the best way somebody, say, man, 18 or just trying to get their first job, but they want to do sales? What's something that you recommend they start to kind of get their feet wet and kind of allow them to kind of get a taste for sales and that first experience? What do you think that's something they should start with, or where should they start?
Start with a landscaping business.
Really?
Yeah, any kid, go on Craigslist, go on Facebook Marketplace, buy a cheap lawnmower, snow blower, and go door to door and cut grass, and you will see the interactions of people who look at you sideways, people who look at you as an entrepreneur, people who look at you inspired, again, and that's in your local community, so it's a safe environment, so most people understand who you are, and you will learn a lot. You will learn about the people you thought you knew. Oh my God, I thought they were nice. You know, people that you may have thought was mean because you never spoke to them, and they may change your complete mindset. Local neighborhood businesses is what I would recommend. And the easiest one to do is landscaping and snow removal. Okay. I mean, literally, snow removal, go buy a shovel for $20.
Just go down the street, hit every house.
And you get your workout on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay. That's dope. I appreciate that, man.
So I wanted to ask you, too, about rejection. Obviously, that's probably one of the biggest things salespeople struggle with, right? Talk to me about rejection. What's that like? How do you overcome it? What's your mindset on rejection?
You have to get rejected enough to get enough, I guess not enough, I would say thick skin where it doesn't matter anymore. Rejection is part of it. Again, that's in sales and that's in relationships. There's not a man on this planet or a woman on this planet who got everybody they wanted. So you have to get accustomed to being rejected and know that you grow from each rejection. And to even...
Yo, man. I'm sorry to interrupt y'all. I know y'all was in the middle of that podcast. I know y'all was enjoying it. I hope y'all was enjoying it. But I came here to say, for one, please go check out my man K-Live Instagram. Instagram, especially YouTube. I know, as he mentioned in the actual podcast, man, that we're helping him kind of get going on the social media platform so that he can start to build that following and, start to share exactly what he talked about in this interview, man. Just more knowledge about how to be a better salesperson, how to, use sales in your everyday life. So, yeah, man, go check that out. Go check him out, man. Make sure you go show him love. But unfortunately, man, to get the rest of this podcast, man, y'all gonna have to go and check us out on iTunes. Apple Podcasts. It might be on Spotify. Just look down in the link below. Basically, I have everything down there for you guys to go ahead and finish out this podcast. Unfortunately, this is the end of the visual interview, but let me know, man, what you guys think about this kind of content, man. If y'all like the actual video interview, sit down podcast type, or if y'all just want the audio, because we got equipment to do it all, man. So just let us know what you want to see. We're gonna keep bringing this content to you, man. So just stay tuned, and I appreciate y'all for watching. Peace.